Ed from Baldwin is our main person here today. So we're going to talk a little bit about process. We're going to talk a little bit about AI and automation and really how we can improve things. So Ed is the guest here. Can you give us a little bit of your background and kind of how we got here?
Sure. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for the opportunity to be here. Ed Sheppard. I work at the Baldwin Group. I work in the business transformation office. I've been there for 3 years. I don't know anything about insurance, even today. I am actually spent my life in the Coast Guard. I'm an engineer by training, so I'm an aerospace engineer. I'm a helicopter pilot, but I spent a lot of time working in aviation depots, so I did a lot of continuous improvement, metrics development, leading with maintenance teams. So I'm bringing that skill set to Baldwin, where we're employing that to do like process mapping, process improvements, working with lots of different folks and trying to make things a little bit better.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, and little background, so ReSource Pro and the Baldwin Group have been partners for probably over 15 years now in some variety. We've got lots of offices that we've worked with, but Ed has started working with us for about last year and a half, probably, 18 months. Seems like it was 100 years, also seems like it was just yesterday. So kind of tell us a little bit, if you can, like how we got to start working with ReSource Pro in your area.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I've been working with our billing operations team for about 18 months, and we started in our direct bill area, and we did a lot of process mapping. I don't know if you all have this conversation, but I have this conversation. It's like a Groundhog Day for me. They send me down as an emissary. We go down, and there's like this cringe, oh, those people are coming again. So we go in there, and we say, the first question, maybe you've heard this, do you have a process, is the first question. And everyone always says, yes, we have a process, of course. So then I say, could you show me? And so then after a couple days, I say, well, if you had it, you'd just email it to me, right? You'd email me the document. So then they say, yeah, we're working on it. And so then they say, let's do a demo for you. So they always open up a spreadsheet. By the way, I don't know if there's any accounting professionals here. They're some of my favorite people. But if you ever want to get a gift for an accountant, it's like hands down lifetime supply, lifetime subscription to Microsoft Excel, right? Am I true? Is it true? So they open up Excel and they click all around and I say, yeah, it's not really a process, but I get you. So I've kind of worn them down a little, and we do a lot of process mapping. We use Visio and Lucidchart. We map all those processes out, and then I say, hey, where are your pain points? What are the areas where we can help you? And over time, we've done some great work at our accounting operations, and that's where we really linked up with ReSource Pro to do our direct bill complete solution. So that's sort of the journey.
Absolutely, awesome. So with direct bill complete, kind of where you came in, what were you seeing like going on? Like why us? What was the current status? And then when you said, ooh, I think there could be something better here.
It's a quick question for you. I brought a prop that I just want to ask you a quick question. It's a little bit of how we approach process improvement. And the question is this, and maybe you can talk about it for 30 seconds at your table. How do you brush your teeth? I know it's a very simple question, but talk about it for 30 seconds with the folks at your table. I know you might think that it's like, oh, everyone knows this, but talk to the people around you about how you brush your teeth. We'll get back to, the clock's running here in 30 seconds. How do you brush your teeth? Fun, this is good. Yeah, right. All right, 15 seconds. All right, come back into the fold. There's some great passion there about which directions. Is it little circles? Is it scrubbing? Is it angles? All these kind of things. I'll share you an image later, but this is very interesting to me. Whenever you get back to your homestead, take a look at your toothpaste tube and see what your toothpaste tube says. Here's a question for you. How many people say you have to use water when you brush your teeth? Anybody? How many people say you don't have to use water? Everybody, some people didn't vote, I think. I have Colgate. I don't get any financial distribution from them. I'm not marketing for them. I buy their stuff. But on the back of the Colgate tube, it doesn't say anything about water on there. And the reason why I use this for our continuous improvement workshops, because people tell me, it's so simple. I get toothpaste on brush, I put it under the water, I brush, I do my thing. So I show them that, and they say, oh, wow. And what it says on the back of the Colgate, I'm just sort of paraphrasing here, but it's, put a 1-inch portion of toothpaste on the toothbrush, and then brush your teeth in accordance with how your dentist says you would have you do it, right? So there's an interesting thing there. I think Colgate is like deferring the litigation part over to your dentist, but they don't talk about the water, and I find it interesting. And the only reason I share that with people, because people say, that's so corny and so funny, everybody knows how to brush their teeth. Maybe, but it's really a tall tale. It's what we see all the time is everybody has a process they use in their region because somebody told them to do it, like our parents or our grandparents told us how to brush teeth. And what I always say is, how can we expect people that are way downrange from us in our regions in California when I'm in Florida, how can I expect them to follow the process that I'm writing for them if we don't even follow the process on the back of the toothpaste tube? How can we be so arrogant? So we have to be more deliberate and more thoughtful in engaging with the people who are brushing their teeth and say, how do you think you should brush your teeth and how can I help you? My job is very simple, I think. It's to get the resources other people need to do their jobs. But sometimes we think we wrote the process for brushing teeth. They're all following it because we're the experts. And that's just not the case. So take a look. Check my math on this. Take a look at the toothpaste tube when you get a chance, and you'll be like, it doesn't say anything about water, which is fascinating. Everybody I talk to, most people say you need to have water, but it's not in the process. Not in the process.
Not in the process. So your process that you had before ReSource Pro, you weren't brushing teeth.
We weren't brushing teeth.
You had lots of incoming statements, lots of the word that we love to use, discrepancies.
Yes.
Oh, PTSD on that a little bit.
There we go.
So what were you seeing, and you went, this is not working?
Right. I'm sure we're the only broker here. We're a broker that has discrepancies, right? Nobody else has any issues with discrepancies. So it's really chaos, and I think what we try to do is just provide a little bit of calmness in the melee there. So really our previous partner, the technology was good, but we weren't using the technology to scale the business. We were bringing, a lot of speakers have come before us this week and talked about how we're bringing the tool, but we're not sort of like following the process that we need to be deliberate. So we were taking the technology, but we weren't leveraging it. So a couple things we could have done better. We weren't the best partners that we could have been. We didn't have a program management office. We weren't organized. We weren't prioritizing. We had 40 people calling, and Brett knows this because we had this when we first linked up with him. We had 40 people calling saying, I need this right away. What's the relative priority? I need this right away. 40 different people, right? And then 5 minutes later, no, I don't need that, I need this. And very much chaos. So one of the things we try to do is like slow down everything. I'm a big fan of this. If you see speed in any process, you should slow down. And someone wise once said, if you want to go faster, slow down, pump the brakes. And I think someone said this earlier about AI. I think we're in a race, we're in a rush, everyone's running around. We got to do some AI stuff. We're all doing this, but we don't really have necessarily good vision sometimes. So with Direct Bill Complete, anyway, we found this, the current vendor, the previous vendor we were using, good technology, but we just didn't have this overall plan.
So let me ask you then, so what stood out to you when you engaged ReSource Pro and our partner Ascend?
Right. I mean, clearly the debonair gentlemen that work and women that work for ReSource Pro. No, I think it's one of the things that I hung my hat on a lot is just relationship. And so from the very beginning, huge shout out to Brett and Justin and lots of other folks. Carrie Wood, who's not here this week, who's my running mate, she's fantastic if you know Carrie. We got together right away early in the project and said, look, let's just build a working relationship that's built on trust, that's built on candor, that's built on professionalism. And I was just talking to her 30 minutes ago, actually. So, we focused on building the relationship. And what is the relationship? How do you build a relationship? You spend time together in person. You don't do Zoom meetings. You get together. A couple things with our accountants were funny. We flew in our agency bill team, and it was like pulling teeth. I hope I'm not getting in trouble with my CFO, but it was like pulling teeth to get the funds for this. We flew them in. And some of them were like hugging, oh my gosh, it's so great to meet you. And I was like, wait a minute, have you never met? We've worked together 8 years and we've never met in person. I think that's a penalty that's a flag on the play in my world. So getting together in person, breaking some bread, doing like what we did last night, going to dinner, having some fun, learning about each other's families. To me, that's the whole thing about the relationship with ReSource Pro. I think obviously ReSource Pro brings technical expertise. Obviously ReSource Pro brings agency and lots of clients' experience that we can look into for best practices. But that was the beginning. I'll tell you this, on our journey, it's not always been roses and strawberries, as we say. Sometimes there's been some valleys we've had to work out of, but there's one story I hope you don't mind me telling.
Yeah.
Brett was on vacation, having an amazing time in California, actually,
I was in California.
with his wife. I talked to him on the phone, and I said, "Is your wife on the phone?" And I said to him, "Mrs. Stewart, I'm really sorry you have to hear all this nonsense."
She really enjoyed listening about accounting and
Right.
direct bill in the car.
So
That's
Brett
great.
was on holiday, so Justin was filling in. So I called. I'm sorry, Justin was filling in. So I called Justin. He's literally driving across Alligator Alley in the middle. He's taking his daughter to Miami to get a passport to go back to Brazil, right? And so he's like driving. I'll help you with whatever I can. But because we had the relationship, there are times when we've been through. We've had some loss on our teams. We've had some deaths in various groups. We've had some people leave the team and join the team. But through it all, we've been very cordial, very friends. I always say these guys are like my cousins. We're close cousins, and so I think it's been the relationship from the beginning, really, that still holds true today.
Absolutely. And I think that's a key too. We've had, I couldn't even tell you how many meetings that we've had. I mean, hundreds probably over the 18 months. But it's that relationship. It's building that, and it's fostering that partnership, and it's not just an us versus them type thing. It's ReSource Pro is here, and ReSource Pro is truly viewed as a colleague of Baldwin. And so we are all colleagues together. We refer to ourselves as colleagues. It's like the ReSource Pro colleagues, the Baldwin colleagues, it's just colleagues. And it's that partnership that we have that's really been great.
Absolutely, yeah. We're working on some branding right now. We've worked together to develop some stickers, some logos, some posters, and we're going to be sharing those with the team in Bangalore. We're going to be putting those on the walls. And a couple of little great stories. We were working with the team in Bangalore very closely, and there was a person who had passed away on the team in India. So we just sent them a little note. It's just a simple little thing. It's really not that big of a deal. I only share it with you here because we just sent them the note, and that was very important to them. And they were very emotional about that. We talked about that. Again, I don't mean to say this to get any credit, but one of the things that was cool later is they sent me some clothes. And I always think that's such a crazy, emotional, intimate thing, but they sent me, and a friend of mine named Dave Damaris, they sent us some clothes, and we took a picture and sent that back. And so it's been very, very fantastic. So that's what you want. I think you want a partner.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so Ed, as everyone's thinking about AI and innovation and sort of continuous improvement, right? How would you describe people approach this and think through this?
It's a great question. I'd love it if we could play a quick video. I'd love it if you watch this video and think about what it is you noticed about it. It's a 2-minute video, very cool little thing. Hopefully you will get a chance to see this.
If Justin can get the tech to work.
We have the IT person in charge of the clicker, but we'll see. Oh, it's on the screens over there.
But Holland comes in for a pit stop. Time to refuel and change tires. Lou Moore himself changes the tires. Only 4 crew members, including the driver, are allowed to work on the car. It's a tense time. Holland stays in his seat, anxious to get away. Let's watch. Tires are changed at last. A crewman polishes the windshield as Holland moves away just 67 seconds after he stopped.
So great stuff. We use this in our continuous improvement workshops, and we show this video, and then we say to people, what'd you notice? And people always will talk about, well, in the first video, they were much slower. They had, and then people talk about the functions. They have a person on each tire. They have someone actually polishing the windshield, right? There's a guy handing a cup of water to the driver. What I love is, and it's a little second order view here, second, third order effect is, I love the pageantry of this video in general, but there's the announcer in the first video. By the way, huge shout out to Caroline Schneider. I don't know if she's around, but great job on the MC. That's a really hard job to do. But I point this out because we have the announcer here. The announcer's got a minute, so they got to fill time, just like you see on TV on live broadcast. So the driver is about ready, the tiger, he's got the tire changed, oh my gosh. They've got all this stuff that they pre-read, right? And so you notice that, the things people don't notice. So they'll say, 2013 was faster. This is what we noticed. We noticed the quick things. One of the things I love is if you watch this video, and hopefully we can share this to people, it's just on YouTube, but if you don't watch the video, the sounds are amazing because you can hear that the engine's slower. You hear the, but in the second one, it's like, choo, 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 choo. You hear the difference in the sounds. And just the announcer has a very slow pace. He's, we're doing this, and it's just everyone's sort of like going about their pace. Of course, 2013, they come in. It's like the world record at the time in 2013, 5 point whatever seconds. Now, if you look it up, they keep making these Six Sigma investments. But the thing that people often miss, and I think this is the connection back to AI is, in 1951, or whenever the original video was here, the original group is, they were the best in the world. Yeah. 67 seconds was the world record at the time. That was the best. That's why it's in the video. Sometimes we don't realize we're in 1951. We dream about 2013 and we say, if I could use AI, I would have this tool. But here's another thing people miss. How many people were there in 1951 compared to 2013? There were more people in 2013. And that doesn't make sense sometimes in our landscape. When we look at AI, we say, we're going to do all this. And people say, we're going to get rid of people. This is what I hear sometimes. Well, maybe. But maybe you take that tool, just like they did in Melbourne. You figure out how you can do it faster. What do? You can scale that. You can do more work. You can accomplish more. You can grow the business. And so for us, we're doing a lot of transformation efforts where we're trying to elevate the work of our colleagues, just in a very simple way, to be more client-facing, but not to get rid of them, to allow them to focus on the things which are more valuable to the firm. And so this video, I hope you take with you, is sometimes we look at tools, but we just have to be careful about our assumptions that we make, because if you take an AI lens today and you look at that, you're going to be like, we're only going to have 2 people in 2013 in Melbourne, and that's not what the case was when you study the problem.
Yeah. How would you say, so going into that, where it started, kind of those memes like, here's how it started, here's how it ended, or whatever. So when we started 18 months ago on this versus where we are now, what does that look like to you?
Absolutely. Well, I'm a big fan of trusting my gut, trusting people, and developing relationships. And so once we developed the relationship, my bosses came to me first and said, we need to do a cost-benefit analysis. So I did that. And then they said, why don't you implement this? I'm like, okay, that's a different thing, but we'll implement it. We did a 90-day proof of concept that we developed with the ReSource Pro team. And in the middle of that, my boss said to me, what do you think? And I said, we're going to be successful. I don't need to do the whole 90 days. He said, why? I said, I've just done this, and I know we have partnerships and we have a good team. We can do this. So Amber and Cheryl and some other folks are around who were on this team. Pete Cullivan is a huge shout-out, a buddy of mine from Baldwin IT. That's a little lesson learned, is lead with the IT folks, because you got to make sure you've got everything connected. We did this first with Justin and Pete. But we were in the middle of the prototype, and we realized, we can do this. And so it's a really funny thing. Change management, I don't know if you guys remember this. Yep. I certainly do. It was a huge challenge. We had people that were screaming at us. The first meeting I went to for the implementation plan, because about halfway through the proof of concept of the pilot, my boss said, go ahead and do the implementation. I said, that's a different thing. He said, yeah, but you can figure it out. So we built the implementation plan. The first meeting I went to, someone raised their hand, and I said, yes, colleague X. They said, just so you know, we're all here to throw tomatoes at you. And I was like, oh, well, it's great to meet you too. It's nice to meet you. So they were very change resistant. They were very nervous that we were just sort of taking their jobs instead of making their jobs more efficient. At that time, we were processing about 94% of our direct bill cash in a monthly flow. It's around 3,000 transactions, something like this. Those folks, and I love them, they said to me, we'll never do this by the planned schedule, which was 10-1. And I tell my boss this all the time, they were right. He goes, what do you mean? We've been successful. What are you talking about? I said, we didn't go live on 10-1. We went live on 8-1. We actually added cash and we added agency bill, all in that. We went live and all that. And then today, we've been doing this now live for about 6 months, I suppose. Yeah. We're processing 97 and 98% of our cash. We've reduced our discrepancies. and we reduce the overall chaos. Where our team is able to focus on things like missing commission statements. I don't know if anybody else has this problem. Maybe we're the only ones. When you call up a carrier, I'm looking for this statement. Could you send us a copy of it? No, it wouldn't be missing if I had a copy to send you, right? You've heard these, I'm sure. So I think just in general, we made the business go more efficiently. We've reduced our overall costs, but at the end of the day, we've reduced the chaos and the melee, really the tenets of continuous improvement.
Yeah, absolutely.
And how has that affected the team? I mean, the team's response to that, I mean, initially was, this has changed, we're going to throw tomatoes, and then how has that changed over the last 6 months?
Right, the truth is that this project gave us the confidence that we could run a digital transformation, I think. I don't think our firm had the skill set that we realized we did. So it gave us the confidence to take on bigger and better programs. I don't know exactly, but I always joke with Brett, because as we keep adding new business, and Amber, I don't know if she's here, she's always like, I need new business every week from you, so I think I'm pretty close. I'll hold Amber to that, but we've gained the confidence. Our team definitely has a much better relationship. We definitely had some hurdles with people saying those people and those people in India and all these kind of things, and we said to them, why don't we get on a phone call with them? Why don't we break some bread with them? Why don't we talk to them? Why don't we meet them? And really over the last 6 months, we've developed a really strong, I would say it's, in a simple way, it's one team, one fight. We're all colleagues. We talk to each other. We have a problem. We get on the phone and we figure it out. And largely, we've been able to do that thanks to Brett and Justin and the rest of the folks I mentioned. So.
And so if you were, I guess, in closing remarks, if you were giving people advice that are about to start a transformation journey or continuous improvement journey, what advice would you give them?
It's a great question. I always think it's about the relationship. I think that's what our main point is here on this world, is to interact with people. So I think focus on the relationship. Make sure you listen. I know sometimes there's a great quote from Confucius, and the quote is, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. And I think sometimes you've got to listen to the experts. You've got to say, hey, what are the best practices, Justin? What are the best practices, Brett? What have you learned? And then think about how you can tailor that from your view. Because sometimes we get myopic or tunnel vision with, this is how we've always done it here, instead of saying, oh, tell us what we can do better. Let's partner on this. And that's what we've done, is we've really developed great partnerships. We have a huge web now of people that are working together. I mean, right now our team is working on a bunch of transformation efforts. And I think that's what I'd say, is focus on the relationship, recognize the expertise, but be candid. This is another thing we said from the beginning. I hope today, by the way, my mission, my personal mission, is to be genuine and authentic in all things that I do. And I hope we've done this today. I hope I've been candid, but you will find in our conversations, wherever they are, we're candid. And we say, hey, I messed this up. You messed this up. I took credit for something yesterday. If Amber's here, she said, hey, we're waiting on a signature for this one. And I thought it was someone else. It was on me. So I sent an email back like, I dropped the ball on this. So I think that candor is very refreshing, and it builds trust, right, in the end. So that's what I would say would be my advice.
No, that's great.
Awesome. I would say, in closing, like I said, we had hundreds of meetings, but you mentioned it, that getting there in person, not doing everything over Zoom or on Teams, is huge. And so, and the last photo, and Justin kind of popped up there, but this was us after kind of we had the kickoff and everything was good and we were live. This was down in Tampa, and I thought it was just a great closing one, that the three of us up here, we were successful with it. We got it kicked off, and it was one of those things like, we did it, and it's great, and the partnership is there, and it continues to blossom and grow. And well, thank you for that.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
It's been